From the national headquarters of RT America and our nation's capital, hello again, everybody. I am Rick Sanchez. Tonight, there is a deadly killer loose in America, and its name is measles. Cases are on the rise, and it's now leading some lawmakers to consider a change in the laws that allow people to opt out on whether they will or will not immunize their children. The overwhelming consensus, by the way, among scientists and almost every doctor in America is that we should immunize. No, we must immunize our children for the sake of general health. That's what doctors say. Unfortunately, a lot of Americans don't get their information from doctors. They get it from people like Jenny McCarthy.
Without a doubt in my mind, I believe vaccinations triggered Evan's autism. So I think they need to wake up and stop hurting our kids.
McCarthy first became famous for posing nude in Playboy magazine, and now she is a self-proclaimed expert on the subject of immunizations, telling parents not to vaccinate their children. She's not the only one, by the way. Oh, she's not a doctor. She's not a scientist. She's also 100% wrong, according to every single study that's been done on this matter. But in an America where up is often down, reality show stars become president, and celebrities think they know more about medicine than doctors and get more attention for their opinions, this McCarthy influence may actually be having an impact, a dangerous impact. See, when a parent chooses not to immunize their child, it's not their child that's often endangered. It's the kid sitting next to him in school, i.e. your child, which is why it's called public health or public health policies. See, this is not really a personal decision unless you live in a deserted island. Given that, should parents still be allowed to exempt their children from vaccines? It's an important question. This is the News with Rick Sanchez, where we do believe it's time to do news again. But we begin with grim numbers about a disease that many thought we had eradicated through a coordinated public health policy whose principal tool has been vaccinations. You know what? Ask your grandparents about polio if you want to get a better understanding of what it's like to live in a community or a society without a vaccine. For more now, we turn to RT's Trinity Chavez and the latest on what appears to be a measles outbreak worldwide.
The number of measles cases reported is on the rise. Health officials announcing a public health emergency. But as officials scramble to contain the crisis here in the U.S., the outbreak is crippling communities all around the world.
Can't take him anywhere. I'm freaked out.
It's a highly contagious virus that spreads through the air by coughing and by sneezing. And although in 2000, measles was declared eradicated from the United States because we went more than a year without a case, the disease appears to be making a vicious comeback. So far this year, there have been 5 outbreaks in New York, Texas, and Washington state, for a total of more than 150 cases.
Measles is really scary because it is so contagious. If a person with measles is in a room with 10 other people who are unvaccinated, 9 of them will get measles.
Measles is surprisingly deadly. The Mayo Clinic estimates the disease kills more than 100,000 people a year, mostly children under the age of 5. But many believe the real problem with the measles outbreak is the fact that parents are actively choosing not to vaccinate their children. And what's worse is that their child might infect another. Experts calling that scenario a global health threat.
We have a fantastic vaccine against measles. Unfortunately, the vaccine isn't being used to the degree that it needs to be used, and we're having an increase in the number of cases, and this is actually a tragedy for families and children.
While all 50 states have legislation requiring specified vaccines for students, schools allow parents to exempt their children, and almost all states grant religious exemptions.
That's right, because they're our children, and we'll decide what goes into their bodies.
When you take away a person's freedom and medical choice, mandating vaccines for education, that is coercion, and it leads us into a totalitarian regime, taking away democracy.
Lawmakers are efforting a bill that would remove parents' ability to make that decision.
I look at what's going on in Europe. 82,000 cases of the measles. Are you kidding me? I've got 72 people that died a year ago and 42 the year before that, and we're sitting here discussing whether or not we should have our children vaccinated. So I believe it's very important to have our children and people vaccinated.
Global measles deaths have decreased by 84% worldwide in recent years. However, in developing countries, it is still a major problem. Madagascar has seen almost 70,000 cases, and Japan recently reported 170 new cases.
The problem is twofold. It involves the people who are living in underdeveloped countries who are more susceptible than most, and it also involves the tourists who are traveling from those countries with their unimmunized children who could infect others, which appears to be the case in Costa Rica. Reporting in New York, Trinity Chavez, RT.
I'm Rick Sanchez. You found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.